Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
That's right. My name is Mike Piroworski, coming to you live from the East Coast. That's the coast with the most from the co-host with the most here on The Rundown. 2A views, conservative news, and Craig.
Oh, it's Taco Tuesday.
It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos. Here, out in the street, tacos. Are you ready? Lettuce is jam. Me. It's tomato. Go.
Gotta love a taco.
Yeah, listen, I love that song. I mean, listen, there's a whole bunch of extra ingredients in that song, but real tacos are just that corn tortilla, the meats, the cilantro, and the onions, and that's it. There you go. Put your hot sauces on it.
There you go. That's the best way to eat it. Now, depending on what you're doing, sometimes I like the flour taco, but the street taco's got to be corn.
Yes, absolutely.
Definitely got to be corn. But we enjoy some good tacos. It's actually good food with good spirits.
Oh yeah, we're having spirits with them too. All right, I love it.
Good stuff. How was your day going thus far?
Pretty good. A little airplane maintenance earlier today, and off to and somebody's trying to call me because we're on the air, so that's when they start to call. And then off to a meeting later tonight for a little veterans organization. So all good.
Excellent. Sounds good. Yeah, pretty casual day for me and myself, but looking forward to talking about the news today because there's just some, I hate to say it, just some really funny stuff to talk about. So I'm not going to, without any further ado, let's get ready to get into it. But you know what we got to do before we do that? And that is we got to give a quick shout out to our sponsors.
Absolutely. Let's say our good friends at Hitman Industries. That's hitmanindustries.net. Now you can get yourself AR barrels in rifle and pistols caliber, any length you desire for your next rifle pistol build. That's hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly fighting a good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California today. If you want the best of tactical concealed holsters on the market, get on over to Hog Holsters. That's HAWG holsters.com, hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown. That's all one word, no spaces, all caps. Get a nice little discount. And if you want the best field gear on the market, tactical gear, web gear, outdoor gear, whatever it may be, you can get everything except a gun from our friends at uscombatgear.com.
That's right, folks. Please take a moment to visit our sponsors. You can find the link to their websites in the description to this program. Go there, check them out. If you like what you see, spend some money with them, and make sure you tell them it was the guys over at The Rundown that sent you. Also want to encourage you, if you haven't already done so, please make sure like and share. There's tons of places where you can either watch or listen to the program. However you are partaking, tell your friends. We don't care how you partake. We care that you partake. That's all we do. So like, share, subscribe. Encourage your friends to do the same.
Yes, sir. Do it right now. Yep.
Do it now. And that will then get us into today's program. And we're going to start off with this first one. Now, Republicans are always accused of being overly sensitive when it comes to quote-unquote identity politics, right? But I got to say that as soon as I saw this, because you knew this was coming. First, there was the video call, the black women for Kamala, right? Then they had the black men for Kamala. And then they had the white women for Kamala. Well, guess what? You knew it was coming. Even though according to the left, they are the bane of existence. They are the reason why all things are bad and evil in this world. White dudes are coming out for Kamala Harris. That's right. They hosted a call referred to as, quote unquote, white dudes rally to elect the first female president. Star-studded, tongue-in-cheek fundraiser for progressive white men raised almost $4 million for Vice President Kamala Harris. It says some famous white dudes, including the guy who played the dude, rallied in support of Vice President Kamala Harris, who would be the first female president if elected, in the inaugural event of a new group called White Dudes for Harris on Monday night. The name may be a bit facetious, but the star-studded Zoom call attracted more than 180,000 participants and raised almost $4 million, according to organizers, who are themselves a group of white dude Democratic political operatives. Over nearly 3.5-hour call, they said they sold more than 5,700 white dudes for Harris trucker caps, quote, not the pointy ones, joked Ross Morales Rocketo, one of the organizers, referring to the less PC gatherings of white dudes like the Ku Klux Klan. So in other words, white dudes can only gather if they're supporting Harris or if it's a Klan meeting, according to them.
Yeah, I believe the title of this should be White Dudes Without Girlfriends for Harris, because that's what it sounds like, Greg.
Yes, or, white dudes with boyfriends.
Oh, I didn't go there. You went there. That was you, not me.
Well, Pete Buttigieg was one of the leading voices on this call. We all know he's a dude's dude. Like, literally, a dude's dude. Yes, Pete Buttigieg. Yes,
Booty geek. Yeah, this is listen, these are people that were already for Biden, and now they just still, oh look, here's another opportunity to get our faces back in the news. We're Hollywood, we're the elite. Let's make this happen again. So they come up with a new plan. They probably pledged what did they say, $4 million, something like that. It was probably $3 million in t-shirts, $500,000 in hats. And they're going to send old Harris, some stationery or something like that. She's not really getting anything out.
What gets me though is and I would love to get a recording of this, because I'm willing to bet you there's a lot of conversation on there about the problems with white men, right? And I really do believe that what Democrats fail to understand is this is how they lost in 2016. You had a presidential candidate, Hillary Clinton, who basically was running on the idea that everything that is wrong about America has been created by white men. And I think there were a lot of blue-collar, Rust Belt, white male Democrats and their spouses who felt like that was a bunch of crap. And we're tired of being blamed for everything. Like being white. A white male is synonymous with evil. Let me clarify. Being a straight white male is synonymous with evil. And here you have the Democratic Party doing it once again. I mean, at least Joe Biden was smart enough to be Scranton Joe, to not demean the idea of being a white male. And then they wonder why they lost so many voters. Why they lost so many voters. People who probably normally would have voted a Democrat because they're like union members.
Yeah, I don't know that it was that Joe was smart enough to be Scranton Joe. I think that was just the dumb default line for him. That's where he always ended. That was always the baseline. But yeah, I know I agree with you. This is that it didn't work for them before. So what they learned from that, do the same thing again. That's what they learned.
And I do believe it, in the end, it's going to downfall with them. And then, by the way, the whole anti-male thing, it's hurting them among black male voters. Black male voters, if projections are to hold, about 30% of black male voters are going to still be voting for Donald Trump. And that was despite that there's a lot, I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of pressure in the hood to support Kamala Harris. But I'm going to just tell you, there's a lot of brothers that just, there are a lot of brothers not named Willie Brown who aren't feeling Kamala Harris.
So what I see a lot of what's going to go on with the African American community, Craig, is that those that would have shown up to vote for Biden are just not going to show up to vote at all now. So it's not going to, they're going to go, oh, we're going to go vote for Trump or against her. It's just going to be, I'm not bothering.
It'll be real interesting to see. What's frustrating about all of this, once again, is that if you had a group out there that was calling themselves white dudes for Trump, you know the media would be losing their minds.
Oh yeah, yeah. Here comes the Klan. Here they come. You know,
right?
That's what it would have been.
Well, and when you have a group when you have a group of blacks who are supporting Donald Trump, they make them look like a minstrel show. They act like, oh, well, these are a bunch of Uncle Toms who are, they're just a minstrel show and they're not really serious. They're not a significant group. And I will just tell you right now, if people think that the support for Donald Trump has not grown in the black community, you're not paying attention. I'm not saying it's a majority of the black vote. I'm just saying it's a lot. It's a lot more than any other support than any other Republican has had. And I'm believing it's looking like a lot more support than a Democrat nominee for president can afford to lose.
Yes, that's the key, right? And again, I think between these liberal white dudes and the lack of African Americans showing up to actually vote, that it's going to be just another percentage or two that takes away from them. Yeah,
right. And I think the other thing is that people are actually paying attention to what's going on. I mean, you still have a Democratic Party that's trying to convince us that the economy is doing great. I'll tell you what, as long as I'm paying 20% more for stuff I paid, 20% more for across the board than what I paid, before Biden became president, then yeah, I got a problem. If I was able to afford a house payment before, and I can't now, I'm going to recognize that, and I know exactly who is at fault for that.
We actually had this conversation with somebody yesterday. Every once in a while, I'd stop by the McDonald's for a sweet tea, right? And because you got to give them a sweet tea fix. And you used to get a large sweet tea, small fry, and a plain McChick. And those were all on the dollar menu, 99 cents. Those three items now, I stopped last week, $9 for them. So you got a 20% increase. I got a 200% increase. So.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, that's the thing. On average for everything, right? But for certain things, like, for example, gas prices are still 50% higher than they were when he became president. Now, he brags about the fact that gas has come down, but no, it came down from a high that is your fault, Mr. President.
Yeah, it was $1.70, 71, 72 here when President Trump was in office. And I've said this to you before, I like to use fast food as the gauge because they, in addition to the economy being bad, they've also had to deal with the $15 to $20 an hour economy or workers now minimum salary. So they're taking the double hit. So right. You see things, literally a bill that used to be $3 is now $9.
Oh, dude,
if you have gone up 200 or 300%, well, then you're an idiot.
For me, the thing at McDonald's is the large fry. I love their fries, right? Sometimes I'll just be like, I'd like to stop and I'll order nothing but a large fry. And I used to be able to get it for, around $2, maybe $2.50, $2.59. Now it's over $5 for a large fry. I used to be able to get a meal for that.
Yeah, it was $1.79 for a large fry, and now you're paying $5 for a potato.
Processed potato. Yeah, you got to get, when you get McDonald's fries, you have to get them. So this is what I do to make sure I always get hot fries. I order them with no salt, and then I have them put salt in the bag. Because, see, if they make them with no salt, they got to make them fresh. So you get them salt, then you put the salt on it afterwards. And McDonald's fries are good for 15 minutes after being cooked. After that, they start to revert to their unnatural form.
There's no way to reheat them afterwards to ever get them back to that glory.
No, they'll never get back there. The only other thing that they become useful for is if you leave them in your car long enough, they will turn into rock hard, and they'll turn rock hard, and you can use them as building blocks.
Yeah, you do get that McDonald air freshener out of them for a couple of days, though.
I always find those things. It is amazing how they will always look fresh, though. That is the one thing. They'll always look fresh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, all right. From white dudes to Iran. I know. What a transition. A lot of what the Biden administration brags about is they've been bragging a lot about their quote unquote sanctions against Iran in order to keep them from getting nuclear weapons. Well, let's just say it hasn't been that successful. As the Washington Free Beacon is reporting, it says Iran raked in $16 billion from illicit oil sales in just 4 months, highlighting Biden-Harris administration's lax sanctions enforcement. It says here, Iran reported raking in nearly $16 billion in profits. So not just in sales, but in profits from its illicit oil trade over the past several months, highlighting the Biden-Harris administration's perennially lax enforcement of sanctions meant to stymie Tehran's cash flow. Tehran exported a total of $15.7 billion worth of oil in the first 4 months in the Iranian calendar year, which lasted from March 21st to July 22nd. Mohammad Razvanifar, the head of Iran's Customs Administration, said on Monday, most of this crude oil offloaded in China, Turkey, and the United Arab Emirates, Germany, and India, according to the country's state-controlled press. Now, Mike, and this is the thing, I get that people say that Donald Trump, well, he exaggerates. Iran was still funding terrorism when he was president. But they didn't have billions of dollars like this because the sanctions he had in place, he actually enforced. Yet now, and by the way, where do you think all these $16 billion are going? Do you think that $16 billion is going to feed their people?
Yeah, home improvements. They're going to be doing home improvements then.
They'll be doing home improvements, right? No, this is going to fund terrorists and terrorist organizations. Those bombs that Hezbollah dropped in Israel, yeah, where do you think that money comes from? The terrorist attack in Gaza or in Israel, where do you think that money comes from?
Yeah, absolutely right. Especially when they're dealing with China, right? So that's not even cash involved there. That's just product for product. And they're shipping that product back over to Palestine or there to the Gaza Strip with the PLO and the Hezbollah.
If we are going to be successful, if we're going to be successful, if it's not going to be militarily, it's got to be economically. And if we're not going to enforce sanctions that we put in place, what's the point of having the sanctions?
Oh, listen, the only way you're going to stop the Iranians from doing things like this is militarily. They're not going to, the sanctions mean nothing to them. Oh, you're telling me I can't sell outside? Now look at all the other people going, bro, the dude showed up with half-price oil in my front yard. What am I going to do? Tell them no? They're going to take, that's what they do. The only way to stop them is to have a couple of destroyers there in the Gulf, and when they try and leave the port, you help them visit the bottom of the ocean. So that's what you do.
You sank my battleship.
Exactly right. Yeah. Listen, you don't call them destroyers because they're there to make peace. Okay.
Well, that was the thing. You didn't even have to with Donald Trump. You didn't even have to actually do it because they're like, oh, yeah, he'll do it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Now they don't even have to. Like you said before, they didn't even really have to patrol. They just had to go. What? Huh? Trump heard? Oh my God! No, tell him it's not real. We're not there. Come on. I mean, you've heard this. What's the guy's foreign policy? Listen to what he said on the debate. They said, "Sir, how are you going to stop the war in so and so? You just wait till I get elected. It'll be done that day." Yeah, it will be. It will be. Because crazy man will pick up the phone and say, "I'm coming for you. I'm coming for your dog. I'm coming for your kids." Here's a picture of your house. Here's a picture where your little one goes to school. And okay, we stop.
Stop selling the oil. Stop selling the oil. That's exactly how it will go down. And like I said, I'm a believer. If you know what, if you're not going to, if we're not going to be respected, we need to at least be feared. Right now, we are neither respected nor feared.
Correct. Right.
All right, moving right along. This one I picked just for you. There was an article in the New York Post, and it referred to Florida, the schizoid state, right? And I have my perspective of this, but I think you're going to agree, but I wanted to hear what you had to say first. It says here, schizoid state, Florida wants Donald Trump and Rick Scott, but also abortion rights, legalized weed, according to a poll. Floridians are ready to choose Donald Trump for president and Rick Scott in his re-election bid to the Senate, according to a new poll. But in a bit of a mind-bending dichotomy, half of the Republicans surveyed support legalized marijuana and abortion rights. In a state with nearly 1 million more registered Republicans than Democrats, the former president is up 7 points over Kamala Harris in a two-way race, according to the University of North Florida survey published on Tuesday. Rick Scott, meanwhile, is up 47-43 over Democrat Debbie Marshall Powell and a poll of 774 likely voters in the Sunshine State. Now, I have my belief as to why this is, but I wanted to hear, as a Floridian, how would you explain what they're pointing out here in this particular poll?
Greg, well, the thing is, there's people in Florida that like their weed. All right, I just say that they like their weed. It's never going to happen in Florida. The governor of Florida has said there'll never be personal consumption of weed in Florida. If they were to pass a constitutional amendment towards it, or one of the ballot initiative amendments, that he would write a law a day to make sure it stayed illegal and tie it up in the courts forever. It's never going to happen while he's here, so they might as well just move on from that. One of the reasons that is this poll comes out of the University of North Florida, which is Jacksonville, Florida. The demographics in Jacksonville are much different than the rest of the state in Florida. It has a very low Hispanic population, very high or higher than the rest of the state African American population. So it tends to be a much more. You see a lot of weird Democrat vote come out of there because of higher. Now it's still a conservative city, but there's a different makeup of the Democrats there. So it's always strange votes that come out of that portion of the state. So nothing we have to worry about. Just when you see votes and polls come out of there, the gaps tend to be a little wider apart because of the type of demographics, like I said up there.
I guess in part I would argue that I think part of that is because Florida tends to be a more libertarian state as opposed to conservatives. There's a lot of conservatives that have moved there, but overall it's more libertarian. And the fact that the left has gone so far wacky left, I mean, a lot of the things we're arguing as conservatives are just like normal stuff. Like, hey, maybe we shouldn't be teaching that if you're white, you're the great Satan. Maybe we shouldn't be teaching little children about, including books with sexually explicit content in them. Things like that.
I think a lot of that does cross over those anyway, the demographics, because that's, it's conservative values is a lot of what we see here in Florida. It's those weird fringe issues. It's the drug issues. It's the abortion issues, those kind of things that we see different. To give you an example, in Jacksonville, Duval County, it's basically 1 million people that live there. It's 53% white for everywhere in Florida, including Jacksonville. But when you get down into Latino in Florida, you're looking somewhere around 25%. But in Jacksonville, it's less than 7%. African American 15% higher in Jacksonville than it is in the rest of the state of Florida. So it's just odd. It's just that those second tier questions get much odder results because of the demographic up in that city.
Yeah, I just think, once again, I think it's an attempt to badmouth Florida, make Florida look bad. But like I said, all I know is that people are moving to Florida. People are moving out of places like New York, like California, places that tend to be more liberal. They're moving out of. People that tend to be more conservative. And I'm not saying far right. Florida's not far right, but it does tend to be a lot more common sense oriented in its policies.
It does. It does. And what I'm just saying is pollsters know when they want to skew a view, go to Jackson.
Yeah. There you go. All right. This is a good one. I love this one. This will be our 2A story of the day. Elon Musk is now telling the folks over at X they're going to get rid of the water pistol emoji and they're going to bring back the real gun on a Twitter post. Anyway, funny stuff. It's causing outrage, obviously, amongst the left. It says really stupid when various digital platforms decided to change their gun emoji to a water pistol. They did it because guns are only permissible to be considered, thought about, or talked about in particular contexts. More specifically, you're either in the film or television industry, or you're talking about banning them. Anything beyond is unacceptable. So they fumed. So they turned the gun emoji into a water pistol. Literally nothing has changed as a result either. The world didn't get safer. Mass shootings didn't stop. We didn't benefit from the change in the least bit. Shocking, I know. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised to find out that people are outraged over Elon Musk bringing it back on X, formerly Twitter. And this is a quote from another piece. He says, while the update might seem like a game for Musk, the simple act of changing the style of the emoji can have real-world impact. Most platforms and providers, including Twitter, swapped the realistic pistol emoji for a water gun or cartoonish space laser in the mid-2010s. The Unicode Consortium, which approves new emoji, also changed its official designation of the item to a water pistol around the same time. The changes came after highly publicized criticism of the emoji depiction amid rising gun violence in the United States that saw gun-related deaths begin ticking upwards after almost 15 years of no growth. Now, what's funny about that is that they want to label it, they want to put it on the quote-unquote gun emoji, but they completely ignore that was around the same time that states where violent crime was going up, like California, actually started to institute Kamala Harris's smart on crime policies, which took people who were in jail for serious crimes and put them out on the streets and told them, yeah, go do what you want. We're not going to lock you up again.
Yeah, absolutely, Craig. They're so worried here about the cartoon drawing of a squirt gun as opposed to the cartoon drawing of what might be a real gun. But yet, no. Let me make sure. No word yet on those that are underage still using the eggplant and peach emojis. Those are okay. We're going to continue to let that happen with the underage kids.
Well, evidently we are.
Okay. All right. Just want to be sure. We can't let them use we're not going to let them use a water gun anymore. They're going to use a regular gun, but they can still use all these sexual graphic imageries that they want to. Got it. Okay.
Well, the thing that's dumb to me about it is it's going to mean what it's going to mean, whether they say it or not. For example, the chocolate ice cream emoji, we know has never been used to represent chocolate ice cream.
There's a chocolate ice cream emoji?
Yeah, except it represents chocolate ice cream after it's gone through the digestive tract.
There you go.
It's more popular name, the poop emoji.
I thought at one point it might have been some soft serve, but I'm like, you don't have soft serve just sitting on a tabletop. You're going to have a cup or a cone. That's clearly poop.
Got to put a cone on it. Let alone give it eyes.
That's right. That's so insane.
I just think, I mean, what must it be like to have the type of money where you can literally just thumb your nose at an entire industry, right? I mean, to have the money to be able to impact. I mean, he did not buy Twitter to make money, right? He'd like to make money at it, but he literally was just like, no, you are not going to steal free speech.
You know, he might be making money at it now because he fired 75% of the useless people that work there.
Right. And I've noticed no difference in my ability to use Twitter by those people being fired.
That's right. 75% of all people that work there are gone now, and it still works fine.
It actually works better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I enjoy it. It works well for me. I'm glad to see Elon Musk. By the way, just so you guys know, Elon Musk is not a conservative. He's probably more libertarian than anything. But what I appreciate is that he at least understands why this system of government works, and he's willing to invest in making sure that it continues to work. Even supporting someone who he may disagree with on a lot of stuff, because I know he does not agree with Donald Trump on a lot of stuff, but he's willing to support Donald Trump because he knows that Donald Trump takes us in the right direction versus any Democrat that's running taking us in the wrong direction.
You're right. Listen, he may be more libertarian than he is conservative, but the problem is the left keeps moving the boundaries, so his libertarian keeps becoming more and more conservative.
Well, exactly. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier about just kind of where I think a lot of voters are, whether it's in Florida or across the country. I honestly believe that many voters who are voting Republican see themselves as moderate. A lot of them are moderate Democrats, but they realize the left has gone so far left that, and the worst part is I know Democrats who are in leadership roles who are afraid to speak out. And I'm like, you do know that if you just took back your party, you guys would be doing a lot better right now.
Sure they would, but there's so many lunatics in the party that they could be ostracized out of their own party because of it.
Exactly. And that right there is exactly what's going on. And that's why in the Democratic Party you have the tail wagging the dog. All right, folks. Well, hey, that brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown. All caps, no spaces. Get your Hog Holster today. All right. So one of the leading voices on the men as a part of the dudes for Harris is Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg. And Pete Buttigieg had the nerve to call J.D. Vance weird. I don't know where he gets that because, this is an image of Pete Buttigieg who appears to be trying to breastfeed his adopted child.
Yeah,
I don't know. What am I looking at here?
Just weird. That's what that is. That's just weird.
That is just weird.
But it's his normal. So,
Right, but whatchamacallit, but Vance is weird because he's like, yeah, we should, encourage people to have kids.
Yeah.
Men and women have kids. Anyway, but then also you have in this, you have as a part of this, so you've got the dudes for Harris, you got the white dudes for Harris, you've got you've got the black women for Harris, you've got the black men for Harris, you also have the they-thems for Harris. They-them. I'm voting for Kamala to have the first woman president. Me. So, cool. What is a woman? They-them. Yeah, because we know they can't define what a woman is. But like I said, you do have women for Harris, and I think these guys, gals, figured it out. Women for Harris, they crossed off the Biden.
Yep, that's what the poop emoji's for right there.
Exactly. And I'll tell you what, that's the reason why, if you want to know why people are so rabid voting for in terms of their support for Donald Trump, here's an example. You want to describe this one for the audience who's just listening?
Gibson, probably lethal weapon time frame. Me voting for Donald Trump 2016. Then you got me voting for Donald Trump in 2020, probably when he was in the movie The Patriot. You know, a little bit of fervorism going on there. And then now me voting for Trump in 2024. It's full on William Wallace.
Right. There's a lot of excitement for Trump simply because things were better. He may be bombastic, but he gets us. And I'll tell you, it's funny. Every single time I see Trump, people want to say, well, Trump's a right-wing conservative. His rhetoric, a lot of what he says is conservative. But pretty much down the line, you look at where people poll on stuff, and he's pretty much right there, right?
He's a big city boy.
Right. He is. Give the people what they want. And that's why I think if it weren't for them calling him racist, sexist, misogynist, yada, 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 he'd walk away with this. If it wasn't for the fact that literally all of media is against him. All of media. Tech is all against him. If it weren't for the fact that they were stacking the deck against him, this would be a landslide victory for Donald Trump.
Still got time. We still got time.
Still got time. Definitely still got time. All right, folks, that brings us to the end of the program. But before we go, we're going to give a quick shout-out to our sponsors.
Yep, Hitman Industries, hitmanindustries.net. If you got that AR in the past 5 years, probably got one of their barrels. Don't even know it. Now you can buy from them factory direct. Just get on over to hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly fighting a good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California's future today. And if you want the best in tactical gear, field gear, outdoor gear, you get everything except the gun at uscombatgear.com.
That's right, folks. Please take a moment, visit our sponsors. Just follow the links in the description to this program. And with that, we're going to call it a day, and we will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow will be Wednesday, which is Hump Day. We're going to have a good time. We hope you will join us. Till then, have fun, stay safe, and if you get a chance, send a few downrange. We will holla at you mañana.